Hey y'all, and welcome back to my channel. It's your girl Melissa the Divine, and today's video is going to be about the lessons I've learned in therapy. Life-changing, useful lessons that therapy has taught me over the years and things that I actually find myself using in my everyday life. I started therapy going on 2 years ago, and that was every week, once a week. Up until a couple months ago, it was every other week. So basically, I was really consistent with it. I really was on it with my therapy. It wasn't every single week because, sometimes I'd be busy. I had college and my therapist, sometimes I have stuff going on. So it wasn't perfect, but for the most part, I was really consistent with therapy. I found myself learning some life-changing things that I want to share because I know not everyone has access to therapy. Not everybody has tried it. Some people are on the fence about it. This is just my experience with it, the things I've learned, and I want to share them with you guys. Hopefully you find them useful and maybe it'll encourage you to go get therapy and see for yourself what I'm talking about. Let's just get right into it. These are the life-changing things that I've learned in therapy. So number one is that our childhoods have a significant effect on us till this day. This was huge for me. This was really major and something I didn't really consider before going to therapy. Oh, I am the way I am because of the way I was raised, because of the things I experienced as a child. Wow, everything makes sense now. It's such a aha moment, and now it's becoming more normalized, that we talk about our childhoods and the fact that they did have an effect on us. That has been a huge lesson for me because it's just wow, certain things and experiences I had in my childhood, certain trauma that I went through and experienced, shaped me into being a very fearful person, someone who was very just afraid. And you wouldn't see it from the outside looking in. You would assume hey, this girl's not afraid of anything, she's fearless. When in reality, I had so many little fears going on in my mind, and I was super anxious about things. This is before I even knew what anxiety was. But what led me into therapy was my freshman year of college, because I was just really struggling. My mental health was just the worst it's ever been. From that point on, I understood what depression was. Before my freshman year of college, I never knew what depression was in the sense of feeling it for myself and having experienced it. I knew other people saying what their depression was like, but I had never felt it for myself until then. So that was really pivotal for me, and that's what sent me into therapy, because I'm yo, what's going on? I just want to work on this. And when I went there, the woman who was doing the screening for me was just asking me all types of questions about my background, my childhood, the way I was raised. And then I realized I had experienced trauma in my childhood, and that it was something I hadn't really dealt with and something I hadn't really talked about ever. Having someone address it like that really opens your eyes to be wow, that happened to me as a kid and that was messed up. I never really dealt with it until just now. And I'm seeing the different ways that's been affecting me and making me feel I don't deserve good things, or making me feel something's wrong with me. You know what I mean? Not everyone has traumas. Everyone has different things that happen, but just being able to acknowledge that your childhood, however you were raised, has a big role in how you are now is super important, because you need to face those demons and kind of get rid of that old baggage to really live a life that is integrated and a life that's fulfilling and whole. Most of us ignore our past if they're bad, if there's trauma there, if there's pain there, if there's something we don't want to talk about there. But once you realize actually acknowledging it is the first step, that's really 50% of the work. It's not to play the blame game, it's just to say, okay, let's acknowledge that this happened. And I really just feel everyone needs to look into your childhood. Look into some of the things that happen. Ask yourself if you've been through any traumatic experiences and maybe ways that you're harboring those feelings now. And that leads me into the second major thing that I learned in therapy, which is that it's okay to feel all of your feelings. And this is something that, woo! As an African woman, this is something you just don't hear. Feelings are hardly on the table, but all your feelings, some feelings are just off limits. You're not supposed to feel that. You're not supposed to express that. There's just so many unspoken rules in different cultures for certain feelings that are meant to be shared and not shared. So much taboo around our feelings, to the point where we just mask them half the time and we don't acknowledge the good and the bad and the ugly within our feelings. And therapy really taught me that it's okay to feel all my feelings, whether good, whether bad, whether ugly, whether beautiful. It's okay, and it's actually healthy to feel all of those feelings, because when you feel them, you actually allow yourself to experience them. Imagine your whole life you ran away from deer because you thought they were gonna hurt you or something, and you thought they were some hostile animal. until finally you just realize you actually just walk up to a deer one day and see they're more scared of you than you are them. They gonna stand there looking at you like a statue, not even wanting to move a muscle. You'll just be like, what? Like, why was I so scared of this to begin with, right? So think of it like that. If you run away from something your whole life, you're convincing yourself that it's something so scary that you can't handle, when half the time it's harmless. I won't say your feelings are harmless. Some of them really do have a big impact on you. They can take you out for days. Feeling your feelings allows you to not be so scared of them, because you don't put them to this place where there's something you have to constantly run away from. There's something that you are capable of experiencing, going through, and you can move on. Because listen, you have survived and battled through 100% of your bad days. Like, you got this. Sometimes a feeling is scary in theory and it's scary when you think about it, but then once you get there, it's like, that was a little rough, but like, I got this. You're doing yourself a disservice to like be selective about which ones you really feel. Like, your feelings come up for a reason. Let them come up, feel them, understand why they're there, and then let them pass. This is life. I'm going to experience every emotion. Don't be too attached to them to the point where like you allow them to consume you, but just allow yourself to feel them and trust that it's okay. You know, it's okay to feel this feeling, and this feeling is trying to teach you or show you something. The next major thing I learned in therapy is that you are the most powerful person that you know. How this came about is my therapist is really helpful. Like, she really helps me realize so much about myself, but in reality what she's doing is so simple. Shout out Jessica, she's the realest. What my therapist is doing is really simple. Like, she's simply validating me, acknowledging my feelings, acknowledging my thoughts, acknowledging the fact that I have them, and just encouraging me. She's doing very simple things, and you start to realize, wow, I can actually do this for myself. Like, I don't even need you, Jessica. Like, and it's no shade, because she's really brought me so far and helped me get here. But in reality, like, I'm capable of standing on my own 2 feet. And the fact that I go to therapy consistently, that goes to show, like, no one can drag me there. She doesn't force me to be there. No one's forcing me to be there. I'm choosing every single week to pull up to therapy and go and get that help. I'm the most powerful person in this situation because I'm taking that initiative to go get that help. I'm taking that initiative to make the change. Only you can do that for yourself. And that's what I mean by you are the most powerful person in your life, because only you can take the initiative and the first step to make a change. And you're capable of healing yourself from some of these things that have happened to you. Some of us think like, oh, this happened to me and I'll never be the same. And like we end up being in a defeatist attitude or a defeatist mindset. But in reality, anything is possible. There's so many things we haven't even discovered to this point. So for you to believe that you can't heal from your traumas or your past or your wound, like, don't allow those limiting beliefs to get you down, because once you see you are the most powerful person, like you are the one who's in control of your healing process. Once you decide, hey, I'm gonna heal, no one can stop you. Like, literally no one can stop you from the process, and you're the only one who's gonna be able to finish and follow it through. My therapist, the best thing is like she'll literally just validate me. She'll be like, wow, that happened to you as a kid? Like, that's crazy, that's messed up. And I'll be like, wow, you're right, that is messed up. I never thought of it that way. And she'll be like, hey, maybe, you know, another, like a healthier way that this could have gone down would be, you know, this, and she'll kind of highlight how, hey, this happened and it wasn't really healthy, that wasn't good, and it could be leading to the fact that you feel certain anxieties and certain feelings right now. Now I have to take the power into my own hands and be like, okay, you know what, I'm gonna actually take the initiative and do this. I have to choose to take the tips that she tells me and the advice that she gives me and actually apply it in my life. Like, she can't come and like apply everything she teaches to me into my life. Only I can do that. And that's why I say you are the most powerful person, because you're the one in control of your healing. You decide how far you want to go. You decide how much you want to commit, and you're capable of healing yourself. Know when to ask for help, and also know what you are capable of doing. Don't put too much pressure on your plate. Know what you're capable of doing. Like, okay, I can do this much healing on my own, but I need to call on someone else to assist me with this healing, because there's some dark places where I'm too scared to go by myself, right? And that's okay to acknowledge that. There's some places, even within ourselves, we're too scared to go to by ourselves, and it's okay to have the assistance of someone, a mental health professional, someone that you trust to kind of help you and guide you along the way. But remember that you are powerful because you're in control of that. You're able to take that initiative and like make some really serious changes in your life, and it's dope. Me being where I'm at now, I'm like, wow, like I am powerful. Like, I went and I did therapy for 2 full years. Like, that's serious. That's a real commitment. And I didn't have to do that. Nobody made me do that. But I had the power to choose every single week. I'm gonna go, I'm gonna heal, I'm gonna work on this. I'm taking my healing serious. The next major thing that I learned is that it is okay to set boundaries. This one is something I'm still learning, but it's okay to set boundaries, okay? You know, you have those certain friends or those certain family members who just be asking for too much and they be doing too much, and they just be too in your business, whatever it is. You guys know you have that person where it's like, ugh, there's no boundaries here. Why does this person not have boundaries, and why do they not understand what they are? For me, I felt like I couldn't call it out and be like, hey, you know what? These are the parameters I'm gonna allow us to have around this, that, the third, and you gotta like respect that. This kind of goes into the last one where it's like, you're in control. You tell people what you're willing to accept and what you're not, and how they decide to move is really gonna show you, like, you know, who's real and like who needs to be in your life. So it's okay to set a boundary and say, look, I don't want to talk about these types of things with you, or like, I'm not going to be lending you money all the time, or whatever the boundary is. It's okay to set it if that's what you feel is right for yourself, and if you feel like that is needed. And you need to have your like non-negotiables. Like, look, if you break this boundary, like, it's done. Like, there's no relationship here. And that can be hard to do with family members especially, but it's important to do because you deserve that respect of having your boundaries respected. Like, we're adults here, we're allowed to make boundaries and we're allowed to have them be respected. I'm still learning to this day how to set them for myself. You gotta live with this person crossing your boundaries consistently. Do you really want to live with it, or you can really just say something? The last thing that I learned in therapy is that healing is not linear. It takes time. It is not perfect. It's not gonna look a certain way. It's not gonna go exactly how you might expect. Healing is like different for everybody. It's a very deep process. It's a very personal thing. It's a very unique experience that we each go through, and we're all healing from different things. We're all healing from different experiences. Understand, it might take you a while. It might take you a couple different therapists. It might take you different types of therapy to experiment with that. It might take months, it might take years. In the first few months of therapy, I noticed differences of me just catching myself, because like my therapist tells me things like, you're doing so good, you're doing so amazing. And it's like some of these things that I didn't always hear growing up, like having my parents just constantly affirm me. You know, like, my parents are supportive, but they're not huge on affirmations, which for me, that's one of my love languages. I love to be affirmed, and I didn't get that. So my therapist would kind of be like, you're doing great, Melissa. I don't know why you're tripping. Like, you're actually doing really amazing. You're doing this, you're doing that. Like, stop beating yourself up. Why are you so mean to yourself? And I'm like, you're right. Having that kind of a person in your life who their goal is to just encourage you, uplift you, help you look at things from a different perspective, there's something really beautiful and healing about that. Regardless what you're healing from, it's gonna look different, but like, having someone that's just that positive of an influence in your life is gonna make a difference faster than you might think. Like, you know, having someone that's just like, look, you're doing good, giving you different techniques and things to try, that does real healing in a lot faster time than you might think. But also remember, it's not linear. It's not gonna be a straight path. There's no straight path to healing. There's many different ways you're gonna branch off, and you're gonna have to go and have time out on your own where you're not seeing a therapist. But healing it's not perfect. It's not gonna look the same for everyone, and it can be ugly sometimes. It really can, but there's beauty in it overall. If you see the bigger picture, you'll see the beauty and the importance of it. These are the life-changing and self-improving lessons that I have learned in therapy over the past 2 years. I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. Don't forget to give this a thumbs up and to subscribe to this channel, and comment down below any videos you guys want to see from me. I want to give you guys, you know, what you also want to see. So just comment down below what types of videos you would like to see from me. Comment down below if you're in therapy, any tips that you've learned, and we can get a nice conversation going. We can get all our tips together, and we can be like, you know, everyone can get a free little mini sneak peek into what therapy's like. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. I will see you guys in the next one. Bye bye.